All right, so Jujutsu Kaisen's been kind of going crazy recently, and also it's pretty much confirmed at this point that Jujutsu Kaisen isn't going to last very long past 2024. So by all measures and all means, this is the final year of Jujutsu Kaisen. It definitely feels like things are ramping up and we're getting a lot closer towards the end, and probably in a couple of chapters we'll be wrapping up the Culling Games arc. So it's safe to say that we're about to head into the final arc pretty soon. On that note though, here's my general predictions for how this is all going to go down. So first off, if you haven't watched it, you should watch my video on the origins of cursed energy, which is a theory of mine that I have in terms of just generally speaking how the world ended up obtaining cursed energy in the first place and how we have this world of Jujutsu Kaisen sorcerers versus curses. So anyway, relating back to that video, I do think that there is a root source of cursed energy as far as the reason for why it currently exists in the world of Jujutsu Kaisen. And I think at some point the resolution of the story is going to involve someone getting rid of that cursed energy from this planet entirely. It's also worth noting that this is an idea that's been discussed before, how to I'm trying to remember it correctly, but it's basically how to like have curses never exist. And the two answers were either to, I know for sure one of them was to basically kill off anyone that isn't a Jujutsu sorcerer. So you only have the strongest Jujutsu sorcerers alive and they're able to easily kill off curses and they're able to control cursed energy. And I think curses come from cursed energy that's emitted by humans. So because of that, again, if I'm wrong about any of that, let me know. But because of that, that specifically led to me having this theory on how the show is going to end. Not the show, how Jujutsu Kaisen is going to end. Understanding that, there's also another thing to look into as well. Now, Gege Akutami has already told us that the plan for the story is that either one person of our main group of four, which is Nobara, Yuji, Megumi, and Gojo, survives, or all but one of them survives, which is either that one person dies or one person lives. Now, some of you might be thinking, oh, but Nobara's already dead, right? Not necessarily. It hasn't been super confirmed that she's dead. Listen, when dudes die, it's confirmed, okay? When Nanami died, we knew that dude was dead, okay? When Toji was killed by Gojo, we knew he was dead, bro. If someone dies, you know that they're dead. It's very clear. The fact that Akutami went out of their way to make it kind of vague and nebulous as to whether or not Nobara died makes me think that depending on what Akutami is feeling like, she can play a part in the ending of Jujutsu Kaisen. We'll get to that point in a second though. This might be a bit longer of a video than I originally anticipated. But keep that in mind though, Nobara is a wild card. But here's how I think of it. Gojo is not going to be unsealed. Not until like the very end of the series. We also have to keep in mind the fact that we have the heavy foreshadowing of not necessarily Gojo facing off against Megumi, as in like those two like individuals and their personalities, but more so a user of the 10 shadows facing off against a user of the 6 eyes and Limitless. So understanding that, Sukuna with Megumi's body versus Gojo is the thing that's going to just have to happen, right? Kashimo, even though he has his curse technique thing, he's gonna get bodied. We just saw Sukuna low diff Ryu like it was literally nothing, okay? Like Kashimo might not even get his curse technique off. It wouldn't surprise me if Akutami was like, you know what? I'm just gonna save some space in this chapter. We already know Kashimo's not gonna beat Sukuna. Right, so we have to fast forward a little bit here. And this is also assuming that Yuji hits some sort of enlightenment about like involving the core of cursed energy and whatever. So let's fast forward, and we're at a point now where it's Gojo unleashes himself in the box. And this is why I say this, because Gojo said when he was sealed, time doesn't pass here. Now we have to remember, Gojo, as either it was like 17 or 18, as an 18-year-old, figured out the core of cursed energy when he was basically killed by Toji right before he physically died. Now, Gojo figured that out very quickly, and it's pretty clear to us that Gojo is extremely smart. So you're giving Gojo infinite amounts of time. This is a person that constantly deals with the ideas of infinity. What if Gojo not only, since Gojo already has an understanding of the core of cursed energy, what if in his time of just ideation and just sitting around just thinking about things, what if he's able to piecing together parts of the universe? Because remember, he has infinity. He could basically give himself the knowledge of everything that's ever existed, and using reverse curse technique at the same time, he could keep himself from going into a state of basically lobotomizing himself and turning himself into a dummy. He's able to process all the information that's possible, and he's able to figure out where cursed energy originated from, and he's able to break himself out of the box. And this is after like full form Sukuna just wages war against everyone. Gojo just unseals himself from the box, having full knowledge of everything. He is actually god level at this point. He challenges Sukuna. Now keep in mind, Sukuna, 10 Shadows, let's say it's a pretty good battle. And in the meantime, Megami is inside fighting with Sukuna, and they have a little bit of a conflict. And because Megami pops out, Megami is able to talk to Gojo for a little bit. This lowers Gojo's guard, because that's the thing with Gojo, is his humanity. Even though he has the powers of a god, he still very much has a moral compass, and he's a good person, generally speaking. So this causes him to not go full tilt, and he's trying to find a way to save Megami. And at the last second, there's another thing too. There's a whole lot going on here, right? Jujutsu Kaisen also has this thing in terms of like the body and the soul. I'm sure they're gonna try and like weave their way into this battle. But basically, what I theorize is going to happen is that like Gojo is going to essentially have Sukuna cornered and killed, but at the very last second, Sukuna puts Megami's body, you know, in the line of fire. Like, you know how in Yu-Gi-Oh, when Yugi lost that duel in the, you know, against that one guy with the Seal of Orichalcos, and then Yugi sacrificed himself so that the pharaoh could be the dominant personality and still duel, which this is where the famous scene of "it should have been me, not him" came from, by the way, right? What if something like that happens where Sukuna like forces Megami out and Megami is the one that dies? Like something happens with the soul or something. Like maybe Gojo tries to kill the soul of Sukuna, and he spots the soul of Sukuna, but Sukuna sees this and he switches spots, and so Megami dies. So Gojo kills Megami, which this makes Gojo extremely sad. But then you have Sukuna, and he like leaves his body. He finds a way to leave his body and goes into Yuji, who's just watching and is obviously devastated. And so now we have like Sukuna back in Yuji's body, but this is an enlightened Yuji. And so now Yuji is fighting mentally with Sukuna. And unlike the first time they fought, where Yuji got completely bodied in like 5 seconds, Yuji is able to keep up with Sukuna. He's actually fighting a fair fight, and he's, you know, he's enlightened, and he's able to keep up with Sukuna. And while that's happening on the inside, obviously Sukuna in Yuji's body is fighting against Gojo on the outside, and Gojo's thinking, man, I know we said we were going to kill Yuji, but I don't want to kill Yuji now after I killed basically my adopted son. But eventually Yuji takes control of his body, fully beats Sukuna inside, like mentally. They have the battle inside, whatever, right? Yuji beats Sukuna, and he's fully the dominant personality. And then Yuji's like, we finally got him. You can kill me now, sensei. And then Gojo is teary-eyed, and he kills Yuji, thus permanently killing off Sukuna as a whole, since at this point he'll have all 20 fingers. And that's that. But now you have Gojo, who hates cursed energy, hates everything involving Jujutsu sorcerers. Now, here's another bookmark here. So one of the themes I think of Jujutsu Kaisen is that cursed energy curses everyone involved. It's cursed. It's called cursed energy for a reason, right? Remember what I said back in my origins of cursed energy videos, that you had those people who may have opened Pandora's box and unleashed cursed energy into the world, and that the people who tried to stop it from getting too bad were the ones that had to take on the burden. Thus, they have the inherited cursed techniques. But think about this. The people who have the curse techniques are oftentimes the ones that have life the worst. They have the highest burdens, right? They're the ones that have to contend with these curses. Think about the Zenin clan and how terrible they are, right? In the Jujutsu Kaisen sorcerer world, if you have curse techniques, then you might be the enemy of another clan. You might be the target of curses. If you don't have cursed techniques or good control over cursed energy, then you're going to be looked down upon, right? Think about Toji. Even though Toji could literally kill Satoru Gojo, his clan still hated his guts, you know. And obviously Maki led a terrible life in her clan because of the fact that she was not born with a cursed technique or with the ability to use cursed energy at all. Yuta, even though the whole Rika situation is weird, because he had access to that cursed energy, because he was a descendant of a great sorcerer, he was cursed with that power. Yuji being a cursed, I'm not going to go that far. Well, actually, I guess I can since I've already spoiled everything. You know, Yuji being the cursed womb, he himself is cursed. His existence is cursed. Something happened with his parents where they're, you know, again, like everyone that has power in the world of Jujutsu Kaisen is cursed. Like, that's a burden to have. And Gojo reaches this profound conclusion and thus realizes that the world would be better if cursed energy no longer existed. And remember when I said that Gojo, when he was in the box, using Infinity and reverse curse technique, healed himself so that he could constantly take in all the information in the universe, and came to the conclusion and the understanding, right? He came to the conclusion and understanding of where cursed energy originated from and destroys it at its source and origin. But the only way he can do this is by sacrificing his life, and he's the only one that can do this because he has, you know, he has access to Limitless, and he can somehow, using like reverse curse technique and Limitless and Six Eyes and all that other stuff. Guys, I'm trying, okay? Using all that stuff, he's the only one that has the ability and the understanding to locate cursed energy at its origin and destroy it. But it cost him his life. So let's run that kill count back, okay? Yuji's dead, like confirmed dead. Megumi's confirmed dead. Gojo at this point is confirmed dead, right? They're all confirmed dead, but Nobara isn't confirmed dead, which means Nobara comes out after everything in Shibuya happened, or maybe she intervenes in this final fight or so. And or maybe someone catches her up in everything that happened, and again, she's the last one remaining. And technically speaking, it still fulfills that condition that Gege Akutami said, where they said that either one person and only one person lives, or only one person dies. This was a wild video. It probably was pretty hard for you to follow. I know it's hard for me to follow a good junction of the time. But if you enjoyed this theory at all, please let me know in the comments down below. I appreciate any thoughts on the theory. Also, I do understand that specifically there's one pretty big hole, and that's the fact that if Sukuna were to go back into Yuji's body and try to fight Gojo, which this is a person that Yuji considers to be a friend, then that would violate the binding vow. I don't know how Sukuna would get past that. Maybe that vow is no longer valid since he left Yuji's body. I don't know. Yeah, there is definitely some holes in my theory, but I think Akutami could find a way to write around that if they really wanted to. And you could also just pull a Kishimoto and just pull things out of your ass. Anyway, that's all I got for this one. If you watched until the end of this stupidly long video, I appreciate it. And I'll see you guys in whatever I put out next. Peace.